And so I thought, going into this holiday season, what's a really good thing, a word that I could give that would really carry through the holiday season, not only through that season, but hopefully throughout all of our seasons. And it has to do with love. Tim told us a story here in church about a guy named Bob Jones. I can't remember how long ago it was, but it stuck in my brain, and it stuck in my brain, and it stuck in my brain, and it's never left. And a week does not go by when I don't think about it. A fellow by the name of Bob Jones, and he died. And I don't remember, Tim, if he was on the table and half of him left, and he was kind of in the in-between or whatever, but he died. And he went to heaven, and he met God, and God was pleased with everything he had done, but he said, "But Bob, did you love?" And Bob just kind of looked at him and said, "Well, I thought I did. I thought I did the things I was supposed to do. And I read my Bible and did all the things that I was supposed to do, and took care of everybody like I wanted them to take care of me, and I was kind and I was good. I thought I did." And he said, "Yes, but did you love?" And you know what he did? God sent him back. Sent him back. Boom, there he's back on the table, and suddenly he's alive. He's back on earth. And so he sent him back with that mission. Did you love? Find out if you can love the way that I want you to love, and then we'll bring you back up here. And that never left me. Strange how simple stories like that can affect you. Am I wandering too much, Matt? I apologize. For those of you that are on the live feed, I'm funning you. Anyway, did you love? So I thought, you know what? I need to pursue that a little bit. And of course, the very first thing you need to do is when you think about that, did you love? Okay, then what is love? What is love in God's terms? And that's a difficult concept. That's something that we don't often look at. Now, if you go to 1 Corinthians, of course, the Bible is going to tell you that God is love. And the Bible is going to tell you that righteousness is love. Okay, so I thought, all right, well then let's look at righteousness then. If righteousness is love and God is love, let's separate the two of them. Let me first look at righteousness. And let's figure out what righteousness is about. So I thought righteousness can be of two different things. Righteousness can be a righteousness of your being, and righteousness can be a righteousness of your actions, of what you do. Now, righteousness of our being, feeling righteous. Oftentimes, we think we can create our own righteousness, especially in today's society, where we tend to kind of generate our own rules and our own laws so that we can kind of live within those parameters, and then we can really feel good about ourselves living within those parameters. And therefore, we can say, okay, I've lived within the laws that I feel are right, and therefore, I feel pretty good about myself. I feel righteous in that I can live within the parameters. We set up the laws and the rules, and then we live within that, our own set of rules and morals, and we say, that's it. Okay, I'm good. We put the bar really low. We put the bar low, and then when we meet that bar, we feel real good about ourselves. And I think we've all done that from time to time. But it seems the bar, since I was a kid, has gone lower and lower and lower. It's like we're doing the limbo, We're doing the limbo. But anyway, the righteousness that we need, you all know this too, the righteousness we need doesn't come from us. The righteousness that we need, that God's talking about when he said, did you love? And righteousness is love. The righteousness that he's referring to doesn't come from us doing good stuff. It doesn't come from us feeling good about ourselves. It doesn't come from there. Our righteousness comes from grace, which comes to us through faith. And in that grace, God gave us Jesus. And through Jesus and what he did to wash us clean, there's wherein our righteousness of being comes from. That's where it comes from. It doesn't come from us being good. Now, I'm not saying don't be good. Please be good. Remember, Santa Claus is watching over you. But please be good, because you have to, and I'm going to get to that in a second. If you want to do what God sent Bob back to earth to do. Love. Really, really love. So, Jesus brings us that righteousness. Jesus brings us that righteousness through his death and his resurrection, washing us clean, making us blameless in the eyes of the Father. He brings us that righteousness. But we don't get that unless we believe, right? Absolutely. That's where faith comes in. Because of our faith. How many times when Jesus healed somebody did he say, because of your faith you are healed? Well, guess what? Because of your faith you have righteousness. Because you believe he did what he did, you believe he died for you, you believe he washed you clean, and because you believe that, you share in the righteousness that he earned for you. That's it. Faith. Because you had the faith, you get to enjoy God's grace. And God's grace is what? What is grace? Grace is something we get that we didn't necessarily deserve, right? Yeah. Grace is something we get that we don't necessarily deserve. We didn't earn Jesus' death and resurrection. We were the cause of it. Our mess up was the cause of it. We didn't earn his victory. He gave it to us. We didn't earn Jesus. God gave him to us. We didn't earn righteousness by the good works we do. God gave it to us through Jesus. Through him we have righteousness, and we have that because we believe, not because of anything we've done. So the first prong of this righteousness is love. When we try to define what true love is, the first prong of it was a gift. It's a gift. It's already in you if you believe, and there's nothing else you have to do but believe. But believe. You have to have that. In the depths of your soul, you have to have that. And then you have the righteousness that you need to understand the love that we're talking about. So if we have that righteousness in being, then what about the righteousness in action? Well, anything that we do, God's pleased with us, obviously. If we pray for someone, God's pleased with us. If we help somebody that needs help, God's pleased with us. If we give money to the poor, God's pleased with us. If we do all of these wonderful things, God is pleased with us. And he wants us to continue to do those things as Jesus taught us. Right? Jesus taught us to do all those things. But if you really want to have righteousness in the true form of love that God sent Bob back down to earth to get, the only way that you can do that is by letting God work through you. Let him work through you. Because as good as you are, as good as you try to be, as wonderful of the things that you do that make people happy and help people in so many different ways, it doesn't measure up. It's not pure. It's not the kind of love that God is talking about here. What he's talking about is letting him work through you, which, again, needs a whole bunch of faith, because you have to open yourself up and be willing to let that happen. You've got to open yourself up and be willing to let all those things that God is constantly putting in the back of your head. You ought to be doing this, you ought to be doing this, you ought to be doing this, you ought to be doing this. It would be cool if you did that. It'd be cool if this happened. And it'd be cool if you could make that happen. You got to be willing to open yourself up and let that flow through you and let God work through you and make that all happen for him. Because when God works through you, the benefit that the person that you're trying to help gets is 100-fold more than what you could ever help. 100-fold more. So if love is righteousness and righteousness is love, and we know that we gain the first part of that righteousness through Jesus, through grace, a pure gift. And the other part of that righteousness is simply opening ourselves up and letting God work through us. Letting God work through us. Whether it's a word, whether it's a healing, whether it's whatever it is, letting God work through you. You've then satisfied the second prong of that righteousness, the righteousness of doing, the righteousness of action. Okay, so we have the righteousness part. So then we go to the other part, and this is the part that just banged around in my head ever since I was a little kid. In 1 Corinthians, it says God is love, and love is God. God is love. Love is God. God is love. Love is God. I'm going, what the heck does that mean, God is love? I know God is a creator. I know God is a forgiver. I know God is a giver of grace. I know God of, magnificent miracles, signs, and wonders. I know a God of all. What does that mean, God is love? Well, let's explore that a little bit, because we want to get into the, how do we do this love that God sent Bob back here for? And by the way, if he sent Bob back here and he wanted Bob to do it, I think it's pretty safe to assume he wants all to do it, right? Yeah, exactly. So I thought, okay, let's move into how we discover this thing about love, and God is love, and love is God, and how that all works in our daily lives. The Bible tells us there are 4 kinds of love, right? And forgive me for mispronouncing these Greek names, because I'm not Greek. I'm German. Sorry. But we have phileo. Is that right? Good, thank you. Phileo, which is brotherly love. Brotherly love, which means just somebody you have a common interest with, common goals, and personalities that you just get along well. How many of you have someone like that in your life? Yeah, you have filial love. Just kind of, yep, buds, like the same things, all that kind of stuff. That's good, okay? Then we have this other love called eros. I don't like this kind of love, but I'm sure that in my lifetime, and I can probably think back on a lot of times when I've exercised this kind of love, this is a self-gratifying love. And I know a few people like this. They focus on themselves and what they can get, and how fast they can get it, and from whom they can get it. They may impersonate affection from time to time, but only to get that something that they're looking for from the person they're showing the affection to. And all it wants is what it can get out of somebody. That's eros love. Now I'm not going to go there. I was going to say something about politicians, but I'm not going to go there. We're past that. Then we have a love called astargos. This is the kind of love that usually occurs naturally between family members. This is you grow up together, you sweat together, you bleed together, you vacation together, you work together, you eat meals together, you clean up after meals together, you do all of these things together, and you develop a bond, a closeness, a tightness, a true, this is a person I love. I would, for instance, I told somebody at our last holiday, we were talking about my younger brother, Michael. I said, I'd stand in front of a truck for him. I'd take a bullet for Mike in a heartbeat. That's what we do. We have that kind of a feeling within and amongst ourselves, within brothers and sisters and moms and dads and children and grandchildren. That's that kind of love. And then we have the kind of love that God is talking about, which Tim has talked about before, agape. I don't know what the Greek root of that word is. I'm sure Pastor can tell me, and maybe Sue can tell me, and some of you people that, read the Bible while you're sleeping can tell me. They do. They really do. They got the Bible thing playing in headphones when they're sleeping, I swear. They know every Bible verse backwards and forwards and inside out. And God bless you for that. I wish I did. But agape love, it's a supernatural love. It's not a love of this earth. It's not a natural love. It's a supernatural love. It's the love, I think, that God is. It's the love I believe that we were created to follow. We were created to bring this type of love to earth. I think that's why we're here. When I look at this and I read about it and I think about it, I think that that's why God sent Bob back. I need you, Bob, as much as you've loved people, as much as you've done for people, and that's why I'm going to bring you back to heaven anyway. You know you're good with me, but I need you to do something more. I need you to bring my supernatural love down there to those people. So in doing that, Bob's letting God love through him. Now, I know that sometimes it's really difficult to do that. How many of you have people in your family that just are like sandpaper sometimes? Yeah. How many of you have people at work that are like sandpaper? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I heard that. Yeah. Yeah. How many of you have customers or patients or clients, and every time they walk in the door, you're going, oh, Jesus, help me. Yeah. We all do. There are people that sometimes are very hard for us as human beings to wrap love around. But it's not hard for God. And in those instances, maybe we need to say, oh, Father God, just love this person through me. Love this person through me. Let me just step out of the way, and you love them right through me. And I think that's where we're starting to get to the doorstep of where we want to go here. Now, I always love this verse. I think it's been read at every wedding since it was written. So probably, 80 billion weddings over time, and they've probably read this verse over and over. But when we go to 1 Corinthians 13, I thought, well, what does God say that love is? Well, it's right here. And I'm going to read it to you. And I know you probably all have it memorized already, but I'm going to read it to you anyway. Okay? And because it's a beautiful verse. It says, if I speak in the tongues of men and of angels, but we have not love, I am a noisy gong or clanging cymbal. If I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, but I have not love, I am nothing. If I give away all I have and I deliver up my body to be burned, but have not love, I get nothing. I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. True agape love never ends. As for prophecies, they will pass away. As for tongues, they will cease. As for knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part and we prophesy in part. But when the perfect comes, the partial will pass away. When I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I gave up childish ways. For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I have been fully known. So now faith, hope, and love abide. these three, but the greatest of these is love. How many of you had that read at your wedding? Raise your hand. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Oh, come on. Seriously? Some of you were just rebels, weren't you? I'm not going to have that read. Everybody has that read. I'm not going to have that read. Yeah. So I thought, okay, well, then let's go to this. And I was going to use the board today, but the kids are using it back there to create a superhero, so I'm not going to be able to print anything up on the board. Patient, kind, humble, polite, serving others, self-controlled, forgiving, loves and seeks the truth, doesn't envy, doesn't boast, doesn't desire recognition, isn't proud, isn't rude, isn't self-seeking, doesn't want to be served, not quick-tempered, not unforgiving, not entertained by evil. We can't generate that kind of love on our own. This type of love is only available when it flows through us from God. That's it. He's the only one that has that perfect love. That perfect love. And the only way that we can put it down here is to let it flow through us from Him. That's it. Because we can't generate it. So in essence, in order to operate in true agape love, we actually have to open ourselves up and just let it flow. Again, we got to go back to faith, don't we? We got to go back to faith. It's not easy. Nobody ever said it was easy. Nobody ever said doing God's work was a walk in the park. Although it can be if you walk in the park and find somebody to minister to, I suppose. But it takes you to have an understanding. It takes us to really understand, to really try to understand, to really kind of break it down to its simplest forms. Trust me, I need everything simplified. I need everything simplified. Just ask my wife, she'll tell you. An IQ of 137, and sometimes I think I'm the dumbest person on planet Earth. I need everything simplified. So I thought, okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about each one of these things, and let's see how we can make these work in our daily lives. How about patience? Let me give you an example. Every Ohio State fan is going to have to be patient with every Michigan fan this week. They're just going to have to be. And Michigan fans are going to have to be patient with Ohio State fans. They're just going to have to be. At work, that person that walks through the door that just, they walk in that door and there's something inside of you gets that sick feeling, like, oh, I got to deal with her again. Patience. Okay? Let that patience that is a natural gift from God come through you and concentrate on that. Patience. Patience, Mark. Patience with Him. So every time He comes in, which is amazing to me, and John knows the auto parts business, they'll come in, tell you you're really stupid, but they keep coming back in and buying your parts. Don't they? Yeah. You guys don't know what you're talking about. You should stop coming in here. But they come in 3 times a day, 4 times a week.
You don't know what you're talking about. I'll take 12.
Exactly. That's exactly what happens. Okay? Be patient. Patience is huge. Parents, especially now coming into the holiday season, boy, sometimes the kids get on your nerves, don't they? Holy cow. I don't know what it is about Christmas time, and, we're getting excited about Christmas break and presents or what it is, but boy, sometimes the kids can just get antsy. And it's just all you can do to keep from just lashing out at them. Well, lashing out is not agape love. Patience is agape love. Wives, I know we can be dimwits sometimes. Sometimes we can be really good, and we can do some things that surprise you even. A couple weeks ago on a Sunday, we had 4 loads of laundry to do, dishes that needed to be done, homework that needed to be done, things like that. We got home from work, or got home from lunch. I grabbed Melissa. I led her over to the couch. I laid her down. I took off her boots. I threw a cover on her, and I said, you just stay put. I did it because I love her. I did 4 loads of laundry, washed, dried, folded, put away. Did all the dishes. Took care of Jake's stuff that needed to be taken care of. That kind of stuff. And it was because I listened to God. Now, did I want, in my own selfish, did I want to do that? Heck no. I much rather would have sat and watched football and had a beer or something, you know? But God was telling me, your wife is tired. Your wife is tired. And I need her. So you need to give her rest. So I did. Now, it doesn't happen every Sunday, but I did. So we can do some good things, but you have to be patient with us when we anger you, when we frustrate you. I know my wife has the patience of Job. And I know that, Tim has talked about Lisa being the most patient woman on earth. I think we all feel that way. And guys, we all know, don't we? There are times when our wives they say something or they do something and you just go, yeah, it happens. Patience. That patience goes a long, long way. Goes a long way. Being patient and trying to be understanding. Kindness. Being kind. I'm not sure I know how to be hurtful. I think I was brought up where I try not to say hurtful things or try not to do anything like that. But I'm not sure I know really what it means to just be kind all the time. And maybe afterwards somebody can come up and ask me that or fill me in with that. But kindness to me just means being gentle. Just means being good to other people. Treating them with respect and treating them well. And that's not always easy to do. But you know what I have found? Even with people at work and things like that have rubbed me the wrong way, if I start treating them really nice, they almost start feeling guilty about being a butthead to me, Like a couple of weeks ago, my boss brought up the fact that I came in, I'm supposed to clock in at 8 o'clock. AutoZone gives you a 8-minute leeway. You don't get any points or anything as long as you're in there within that 8-minute time. I walked in at 8:02, and Lewis says, you're late. I clocked in. I said, it's 8:02. He said, I know. You're 2 minutes late. And I said, Lewis, how many times have I been late in the years that I've worked here? Okay? So he goes back. I go do my thing. I go check in all the vehicles that are going to go out. I do print out the core report. I get everything ready for the commercial for the day. And he comes over to me and he says, well, I just went back and looked, and you have been late 3 times in the last 3 weeks by at least 3 minutes. And I just shut my mouth because I really so badly wanted to say something, right? I just shut my mouth, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to walk away, and I'm going to say, you know what, Lewis? You have a really good day. I'm going to have as good a day as I can. You have a really good day. The rest of that day, he bent over backwards to make my day better. And I think that it's paid. When you treat people nicely, I think they tend to want to treat you nicely as well. It's kind of that thing. Humble. This is not always easy. What was that old song by Mac Davis? Oh, Lord, it's hard to be humble when you're perfect in every way. Remember that one? Yeah. It's a great song. You were talking about looking good in his skin-tight blue jeans. Yeah. Tammy's back there going, oh, I love me some that song. Yeah. Yep. Anyway, it's sometimes it's hard to be humble. It really is. But think about Jesus. Think about him. Who could have been more humble than him? The greatest person that ever walked this planet. And how humble was he? And he was humble in so many ways. And we need to be humble in that as well. We need to be humble in our hearts. We need to be humble in our words. We need to be less prideful. We need to be what God wants us to be. and not where necessarily where we feel better about ourselves. Yeah, I'm going to puff myself up a little bit here because it makes me feel good. We need to try to avoid that and be humble. Now, I'm not saying make yourself feel like you're a lesser person than other people, because you're not. Nobody is greater than you, and you are not lesser than anyone. That's pretty much the way it is. I think God created us all pretty equal, didn't he? Yeah, he did. He created us equally. And he gave some of us certain talents that others of us don't have, and certain blessings that others of us don't have. But as in his eyes, everybody's the same. We have different looks, different fingerprints, different whatever, different DNA. Isn't that amazing, by the way? You know, the only strand of DNA that you have in you that's the same from every other human being on earth is God's DNA. That's it. The rest of your DNA is completely different from any other human being that was ever created. How amazing is that? How many people, how many billions of people have lived on this planet? And they're all different. And yet, to the Father, they're all the same. They're all the same. So while you can't beat yourself up and, and throw yourself down and think of yourself as being this miserable louse, you can believe and be humble. You can do that. Being polite, not always easy to do, but let's make a concerted effort over this next holiday season to be polite. Let's be polite to people. Let's wish them a Merry Christmas, or as Tim likes to say, Merry Christmas. Let's say Merry Christmas to people. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Be healthy. Be healthy. Be safe. Yes, please. Thank you. Yes. Even in the drive-thru, even when you're rushed, even when you're running late. Hey, hope you have a great day in there. Thanks. Just something to lift them up and to give them some of you. And by giving them some of God that's flowing through you, it's going to make their day better. Being polite goes a long way towards making people a little less edgy during the holiday season, without a doubt. Self-control. Wow, there we go. Self-control. And that doesn't only mean not eating too much at Thanksgiving. Yeah, I pretty much put self-control on the back burner when it comes to the holiday season. Oh, my goodness. But you do have self-control in other things. I don't care what it is. Watching too much television, self-control of your emotions, not letting yourself fly off the handle, being short-tempered. Self-control. If you exercise self-control and just bring yourself into a peace and an understanding. How many times didn't Jesus, when he was here, when everything else around him was going absolutely crazy, and he was just as peaceful and calm as can be? And he looked at the rest of them and said, what are you so shook up about? God's in control. Why the worry? Why the mess? Self-control. Go ahead and eat. You're good. We can work it off of you after the holidays are over. Now here's one that I think is very important, and maybe one of the most important ones. Love means you got to be forgiving. And sometimes it's really, really hard to forgive someone. I mean, some of us carry things back for years. Somebody did something to us years and years ago, and it hurt bad. And we just been carrying that with us and carrying that with us and carrying that with us. And whether it's forgiveness of something that happened years ago, or whether it's forgiveness of something that happened an instant ago, you can't have true agape love without forgiveness in your heart. You cannot do that. That has to be there. Period. No matter how grievous the mistake, no matter how grievous the harm, Jesus hung on a cross with nails driven through his feet and his hands, and a crown of thorns on his head, and a body that was beaten and bruised, and blood oozing out of every orifice it could ooze out of. He had been mistreated. He had been misindicted. He had been abused in every way that you could think of being abused, incriminated, convicted, and put to death for something he never did. And yet what did he do? Father, forgive them, because they know not what they do. Forgiveness is going to be huge in this upcoming holiday season, because things are going to happen. People are going to get on your nerves, and you're going to be rushing, and tensions are going to be high, and people are going to say things, or people are going to do things, and you've got to have that forgiveness. It's just forgiveness. You're going to have people coming over to your house, maybe, that you've been mad at them for a long time for something, and maybe you don't talk like you should to them, or whatever. Forgiveness. True agape love requires that forgiveness. It's what it requires. So I thought what we would do is we'd go down through this, and we do it this way. Love, true agape love, is patience. Love is kindness. Love is humility. Love is serving others. Love is self-control. Love is forgiveness. Love is seeking the truth. How many times had you at work heard a story about a coworker? Did you hear about? And how many times didn't you, being an idiot, turn around and tell somebody else, hey, did you hear? Yeah. Did you bother to check it out to see if it was true? Did you bother to go to the person that they're talking about and going, hey, what's up? Blah, 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 more fun to just do the other thing. Seeking the truth spares a lot of reputation, spares a lot of hard feelings, spares a lot of things. Seek the truth in all you do. Love is not boasting about yourself. Love is not rudeness. You're rude, you're not loving. Love is not self-seeking. Love is not wanting to be served. Now, nothing wrong with going to a restaurant and wanting to be served, okay? That's all good stuff. Just make sure you tip your waitress really, really well when you do. Love is not being quick-tempered. I was quick-tempered, was it yesterday? Yes. Well, I didn't blow off the handle, but I was kind of irritated. Every little thing was like, I finally just said, okay, I'm going to go outside. Because I was wanting Jake to get your shoes on, get your coat on. Come on, let's get your shoes, get your coat on. And then Melissa had to do something. I was like, okay, I'm going out. I'm going out to the car. Yeah, it was just one of those things, every little thing. Has anybody had one of those days where just every little thing just kind of got under your nerves and you're like, yeah. And I'm normally not that way, but for some reason yesterday, just every little thing was just like, well, I do know what it is. There were just too many people. I had one guy text me and say, hey, call me. Another guy text me, say, hey, call me. Another guy say, hey, we got to set up something for next week. Another, I had a million different people pulling me in a million different directions, and it just got to me. And I didn't show patience, and I didn't show understanding, and I didn't show self-control, and I let it get away. And love is not entertained by evil. Nobody's loving anybody if you're looking at things on the internet you shouldn't be looking at. Nobody is loving anybody if they're plotting to do something that, might hurt somebody's job or reputation. Nobody's loving if something evil happens to someone and you get a certain amount of joy out of that, that's not loving. When Michigan loses and I love it, that's not loving. I'm not loving Becky when her team loses and I'm loving it. Sorry about that, Becky. Yeah, I know. And you know what? Well, that's why we play the games. For the last 15 years, Michigan fans have been telling me they're going to win, and they've only won twice out of 15 years. But they keep telling me every year. So, love is humility. Yeah, love is humility. I am a humble Buckeye fan. You know, yeah, yeah, I know. It's kind of funny. Yesterday on Facebook, as soon as the Michigan State game was over for Ohio State. By the way, as soon as that game was over, I got on Facebook and I said, "It's Michigan week." OH. Yeah, it's kind of fun. So anyway, so I think in trying to answer God's question, if we all go up there and God looks at us and says, "Okay, did you love?" I think what he's asking you is, are you righteous by Jesus through faith? Number one. Did you let me work through you? Number two. And did you live with true agape love flowing to others through you? Did you love? Did you exercise the patience, the kindness, the humility, all of those things, and let that love flow through me to everyone around you? Like Jesus did. So I think that's what is meant when they say God is love. Because the love that he wants us to give to those around us here on earth is nothing more than God flowing through us. That's it, in a nutshell. And so I'm really going to work hard to make all that happen so that when my time comes and I'm face to face with him, that he can look to me and he can say, "You loved. You loved." And I encourage all of you to do this. This holiday season is so important. I mean, the holidays are so wonderful. We get together with friends, we get together with family, we share good times, we share good food. It's a joyous type of year. We celebrate Christ's birth. We celebrate giving. We celebrate charity. We celebrate all of these wonderful things. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful time of year to really begin to make this a way of life for ourselves, for the rest of our existence here. Accepting the righteous, that's a gift from God. Letting God work through us. And then letting God just move his love through us, his true agape love through us. Don't limit what you can give other people by your limitations. Don't stop at you. Open yourself up and let God's eternal agape flow through you. And I think not only are you going to feel wonderful, but everyone around you is going to feel wonderful. And I want to thank you for being patient and listening to my ramblings this morning. And I really want to, as we get into the holiday season, I hope all of you have an amazing, wonderful, family, Jesus-blessed Thanksgiving. I hope you eat well. I hope you eat too much. I hope you all get to take naps. I hope you offer to help people clean up their houses if you're going to their place. If anybody's coming to my place, please help me clean up. No. But anyway, it's a wonderful time of year. Happy, 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 blessed Thanksgiving to all of you.